best talk show on the air. Stop the madness, keep it 100. Now, catch them Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 p.m. on the all-new STMK Radio 100. It's the Sax Man Show. Come join the law enforcement extraordinaire, the Sax Man.
This is Christina in Savannah. I listen to STMK Radio 100 on my way home from work. Every Thursday, they keep it 100.
You're listening to STMK Radio 100.
Tell you something, we gotta stop the violence, we gotta vote. Stop the violence and vote.
If people say your dreams are crazy, if they laugh at what you think you can do, good. Stay that way. Because what non-believers fail to understand is that calling a dream crazy is not an insult. It's a compliment. Don't try to be the fastest runner in your school or the fastest in the world. Be the fastest ever. Don't picture yourself wearing OBJ's jersey. Picture OBJ wearing yours. Don't settle for homecoming queen or linebacker. Do both. Lose 120 pounds and become an Ironman after beating a brain tumor. Don't believe you have to be like anybody to be somebody. If you're born a refugee, don't let it stop you from playing soccer for the national team at age 16. Don't become the best basketball player on the planet. Be bigger than basketball. Believe in something, even if it means sacrificing everything. When they talk about the greatest team in the history of the sport, make sure it's your team. If you have only one hand, don't just watch football. Play it at the highest level. And if you're a girl from Compton, don't just become a tennis player. Become the greatest athlete ever. Yeah, that's more like it. So don't ask if your dreams are crazy. Ask if they're crazy enough.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts Shawn L, Letty Love, and funny man Doug Million. Join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. With live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100. STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Monday through Friday. The best talk show on the web is here. STMK Radio 100. Also call us at 1-866-484-STMK to stop the madness. Keep it 100.
STMK Radio 100. You're listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 with your host, Shawn L, Let, and Tone the Stone on STMK Radio 100.
A public street announcement. You are now listening to a Kickback production. Light up your L's, lean back, and listen.
A shocking anonymous op-ed, such an indictment of the president. Only way to lay out the case this person makes is to read the entire thing to you. So here it is in full, the opinion piece in the New York Times. President Trump is facing a test to his presidency unlike any faced by a modern American leader. It's not just the special counsel that looms large, or that the country is bitterly divided over Mr. Trump's leadership, or even that his party might well lose the House to an opposition hell-bent on his downfall. The dilemma, which he does not fully grasp, is that many of the senior officials in his own administration are working diligently from within to frustrate parts of his agenda and his worst inclinations. I would know I am one of them, he writes. Goes on to say, to be clear, ours is not the popular resistance of the left. We want the administration to succeed and think that many of its policies have already made America safer and more prosperous. But we believe our first duty is to this country. And the president continues to act in a manner that is detrimental to the health of our republic. That is why many Trump appointees have vowed to do what we can to preserve our democratic institutions while thwarting Mr. Trump's more misguided impulses until he is out of office. The root of the problem is the president's amorality. Anyone who works with him knows he is not moored to any discernible first principles that guide his decision-making. Although he was elected as a Republican, the president shows little affinity for ideas long espoused by conservatives, free minds, free markets, and free people. At best, he has invoked these ideals in scripted setting. At worst, he has attacked them outright. In addition to his mass marketing of the notion that the press is the enemy of the people, President Trump's impulses are generally anti-trade and anti-democratic. Don't get me wrong, he writes. There are bright spots that the near ceaseless negative coverage of the administration fails to capture: effective deregulation, historic tax reform, a more robust military, and more. But these successes have come despite, not because of, the president's leadership style, which is impetuous, adversarial, petty, and ineffective. From the White House to executive branch departments and agencies, senior officials will privately admit their daily disbelief at the commander-in-chief's comments and actions. Most are working to insulate their operations from his whims. Meetings with him veer off topic and off the rails. He engages in repetitive rants, and his impulsiveness results in half-baked, ill-informed, and occasionally reckless decisions that have to be walked back. There is literally no telling whether he might change his mind from 1 minute to the next, a top official complained to me, the writer, of course, recently, exasperated by an Oval Office meeting at which the president flip-flopped on a major policy decision he'd made only a week earlier. The erratic behavior would be more concerning if it weren't for unsung heroes in and around the White House. Some of his aides have been cast as villains by the media, but in private, they have gone to great lengths to keep bad decisions contained to the West Wing, though they are clearly not always successful. It may be cold comfort to this chaotic era, but Americans should know that there are adults in the room. We fully recognize what is happening, and we are trying to do what's right, even when Donald Trump won't. He goes on. The result is a two-track presidency. Take foreign policy. In public and in private, President Trump shows a preference for autocrats and dictators, such as President Vladimir Putin of Russia and North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, and displays little genuine appreciation for the ties that bind us to allied, like-minded nations. Astute observers have noted, though, that the rest of the administration is operating on another track, one where countries like Russia are called out for meddling and punished accordingly, and where allies around the world are engaged as peers rather than ridiculed as rivals. On Russia, for instance, the president was reluctant to expel so many of Mr. Putin's spies as punishment for the poisoning of a former Russian spy in Britain. He complained for weeks about senior staff members letting him get boxed into further confrontation with Russia, and he expressed frustration that the United States continued to impose sanctions on the country for its malign behavior. But his national security team knew better. Such actions had to be taken to hold Moscow accountable. This isn't the work of the so-called deep state, he writes. It's the work of the steady state. Given the instability many witnessed, there were early whispers within the cabinet of invoking the 25th Amendment, which would start a complex process for removing the president. But no one wanted to precipitate a constitutional crisis, so we will do what we can to steer the administration in the right direction until, one way or another, it's over. The bigger concern is not what Mr. Trump has done to the presidency, but rather what we as a nation have allowed him to do to us. We have sunk low with him and allowed our discourse to be stripped of civility. Senator John McCain put it best in his farewell letter. All Americans should heed his words and break free of the tribalism trap with the high aim of uniting through our shared values and love of this great nation. We may no longer have Senator McCain, he writes, but we will always have his example, a lodestar for restoring honor to public life and our national dialogue. Mr. Trump may fear such honorable men, but we should revere them. And finally, he puts it this way. There is a quiet resistance within the administration of people choosing to put country first, but the real difference will be made by everyday citizens rising above politics, reaching across the aisle, and resolving to shed the labels in favor of a single one: Americans. Again, a current senior Trump administration official, in his own words in the New York Times tonight.
Good evening and welcome to Stop the Madness. Keep it 100. I'm your host, Shawn L. Sitting in Studio 51 with me is our man on the beat, Sax Man.
Sax Man in the house.
Hey, Sax Man, you know what? Hey, we got some big things going on. Hey, first of all, I want to welcome Facebook Live, YouTube, Instagram. Our Twitter account is up. The chat room is jumping.
Yes, it is.
And Pluto TV and USTREAM. We want to welcome y'all in our 32 cities hearing us on internet or radio. You know, Sax Man, this is our third season, and this is show 501.
Man, time is moving.
Yes, it is. And I like to thank all of our listeners for making this happening.
Yes, yes.
And I want to say something. We got some good things coming up. But you know why everybody was on vacation, and before we went back during the summer, we did the East Cleveland Town Hall. We're going to talk about that a little bit, and we're going to talk a little bit about some cases. But first, did you hear that scathing letter that was written by one of our president cabinet members?
I'm sure you're going to tell us about it.
well, you know, Sex Man, I'm going to say this. You know, I have a problem with that because that ain't the way it's supposed to be.
Yes.
But I'm going to go back to this. Right now, they having a hearing on Kavanaugh rape allegations.
Yes.
We're going to have a guest in here later on the second hour, Mrs. Summers. I wish she was here earlier so she can talk with us about this, but we're going to grab her and talk to her about it. But, you know, they're having a hearing, and the hearing is nothing but farces. But I looked at a little bit of that hearing, and that lady, Mrs. Ford, was very, very convincing. And if the GOP thought by having this hearing and letting her testify they was just going to get away with it and rush it down, I think they got a problem.
Well, the way I see it, Sean, he stood there, and it like when he opened up his mouth, crickets came out, and then after the crickets came out, lions came out behind him. Just come up a little bit.
Yeah. So when you look at that, but I'm looking at this right here, that scathing thing, because you know the Russia investigation been running. George Papadopoulos got sentenced. Paul Manafort got found guilty, and then he made a plea bargain. Michael Flynn is getting ready to go to jail. And I do believe right now that Trump is getting ready to fire the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, and he's going to fire Jeff Sessions, his right-hand man.
Wait a minute. He's getting rid of people that know too much about him. That's what that is.
Well, the problem is he want to stop this Russia investigation because Mueller's going to come down, and I see some serious indictments coming. And I'm going to tell you this right here. That thing that they keep telling you that the Justice Department can't do anything before the election. Well, guess what? Nobody's under investigation is on the ballot to be elected. So that don't count.
So he's getting rid of – this is like assassination pretty much.
That's pretty much because, you know, he don't want Mueller to come out with their report because I see some serious indictments coming down, and it's for conspiracy. And treason. Okay, these are the indictments of Americans for treason, conspiracy. And I see the president may be a named person in an indictment because there's nothing to say that he can't be indicted.
This is Watergate times 10.
No, this is Watergate on steroids. Steroids times 10. It's on steroids. So when you look at that, okay, so I was looking at the hearing today. I don't know why Trump even picked Kavanaugh, okay. He's trying to please 30% of his base, but he should have picked a woman. She could have walked right through, okay? And I think that the Republicans are scared they're going to lose the midterm election. But when you look at this, Sax Man, we allowed this to happen, and I don't see them taking the Senate over, and they may not take the House over. So everybody better understand, you better come out and vote.
Yes.
Okay, you allowed this to happen. The Bernie or Bus people, you better come out and vote because it can get a lot worse. And we had President Barack Obama was with us here in Cleveland, Ohio, and he talked about that. And I want y'all to know something. Seeing the president and covering that speech and what he was saying here, it resonated home. And I want all our listeners to understand, if you didn't see President Barack Obama, or if you wasn't here in Cleveland at the East High School when he came in to talk, we got it for you because this is Stop the Madness.
Keep it 100.
So I want you to hear this. Let's see the control room. Can you put that up? Pull up President Obama.
STMK Radio 100. 100.
Politicians say that all the time, but this time it really is different. This time the stakes really are higher. Sharon, I think, would tell you, he's in Washington every day. He sees what is taking place. The consequences of any of us sitting on the sidelines are far more dangerous. We have had big elections before. We have had big choices before. We have had big arguments before. Democracy has never been easy. Our founding fathers argued about everything. We fought a civil war. We overcame depression. We had a civil rights movement and a women's movement, and union members had to fight for the right to organize and get these great. If we don't step up, things can get worse.
Hey, now that was President Barack Obama right here in Cleveland, Ohio, Sax man, and that was one hell of a rally that we had with him right there. And I want everybody to understand that when President Obama took the stage, it just lit up everything. That's why we miss that man so much. You know, I really do. We really do miss him so much, Sax man. You know what I mean?
Yeah, oh yeah, definitely. I miss him because I met him at the Waffle House and we was throwing down on some pancakes.
Y'all had some chicken and waffles.
Chicken and waffles.
You know, the worst thing that I hate about that whole thing was we were stuck in the press pool bin. But we had a lot of access, and if you listen to what he said, I'm gonna say this again. After watching what's going on today, watching the voting, watching how they rushing stuff through, watching how they cutting all his rules and regulations, watching how the economy is building up so fast for a massive meltdown. We have to get out and vote, people. We really have to get out and vote. We have Miss Summers in Studio 51 with us, everybody. How you doing, Miss Summers?
How are you?
Just fine. Welcome back with us again.
Hello.
And Tone the Stone. But also, you know, while we got Miss Summers here, I want to ask the question right here, and I want all of y'all to think about this. Miss Summers, tell me what you think about rape allegations against the Supreme Court justice and the hearing they having right now.
You talking about Mr. Cosby? That's
Yeah,
what we talking about?
yes.
No, not Cosby against the Supreme Court.
Kavanaugh.
Kavanaugh. Oh, okay.
Because we're going to talk about Crosby, too, but you know what? I was going to say that for the second hour when we really get into talking with you about it.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it, I don't even want to get into that.
Okay.
It's so much. I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Well, you know what? In the second hour when we talk about that, because I want to know how you feel about these women coming back 35 years later. I can understand this one, Mrs. Ford, because she was a juvenile, okay? Yeah. And the one thing what I don't understand right now is that in the state of Maryland, okay, sexual assault on a juvenile does not have a statute of limitation.
Right.
So he can be prosecuted for that, okay? And I want to go back to that because before we get off of Trump right there, Tony Stone, you know, I was telling everybody about the Mueller investigation, okay? It's only been 18 months. 8 people has been charged. 4 has been convicted. You got 6 guilty pleas. 13 Russian nationalists charged, 3 Russian companies, 4 Russian officers, and 12 Russian intel officers. And I want to say this because everybody don't understand this. Benghazi, they investigated Benghazi, okay, for 5 years and spent close to $10 billion. And guess how many convictions? And
Zero.
Zero. That's correct.
Zero. I can tell you that off
But
the top.
But you know what? Let's just say, okay, what you just said about the Benghazi investigation in Clinton. So let's just keep it in perspective with Trump being in the White House, the president. You guys as law enforcement officers, me as a veteran, you know, we have this what is it? Conduct unbecoming, stuff like that. This stuff that can get you in real trouble on your job. Yeah. For the simple fact, I mean, for this man to be in the highest office of the land, and he's had at least two of the people that are like were his right hand man, his lawyer. Even though that's unrelated to the Russia investigation, that's still criminal.
Well,
that's like in his bedroom.
Well, hold on for a minute. Tell me, say
when does conduct unbecoming? Like I've said this time and time before, his president should be null and void.
Well,
I mean, in a perfect world, yes.
But let me say this, Tone.
I mean, he hasn't even made it through his first term. He's scandal plagued already.
But Tone, let me say this.
Not scandal plagued. He's got criminal convictions against his closest confidants.
Right, and all this have something to do with the Russian investigation. Okay. See, I hate it when people say this doesn't have anything to do with the Russian investigation. The investigation isn't over with yet. Okay. This is just a prelude. Okay. You have to understand that Mueller's taking his aces and his cards and playing them step by step.
Yeah, I get it, Sean. But my point is, meanwhile, it's business as normal for Trump. He's conducting business as usual.
But it's not Trump because we do have something called the 25th Amendment in the Constitution.
But until that takes place, until they get off their asses and put that into effect, his business as usual. Right, he's doing everything he wants to do.
It's not going to happen.
In the meanwhile,
you know why it's not going to happen, Tom? Because the Republicans have an agenda to take over the courts, and that's what's happening. What's happening in the background.
That in the other show.
Trump has put over 81 unqualified judges in lifetime position. He's getting ready to put a sexual offender on the courts in a lifetime position, who's going to overturn every woman's right that there is. Make no mistake about it. Roe versus Wade is gone tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Okay? LGBT rights, okay, is gone tomorrow at 4 o'clock. When they confirm him to go take that seat, okay, all those cases working their way up through the lower courts that was tied are going to be overturned. Marriage equality rights will be gone tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Now, I tell everybody this, that come November, if we do not get out and vote, we have not even seen the yet of the trickler, because the Bernie and bus people, all the people that didn't want to come out and vote, the 47% that stayed at home. This is the problem. It's not that Trump putting a fifth Republican on the court, because they already had a 5-4 majority, okay? But what happens if a liberal judge decides to leave or get sick or die, okay? That means that the court will be under the Republicans' control for the rest of our lives and our kids' life. And we will never get it back, okay? Now, if we get out and vote and we put some hold cards on Trump and administration, okay, as Tone say, somebody come out there and do the job the way it's supposed to be done, then we will be able to reverse the Supreme Court. Not the other courts, but the Supreme Court. Okay, because 2020 is the year that I see everything's coming out. 2020 is going to be the year that we have to elect the president. Okay, if we let Trump go 8 years in, we have a problem.
I doubt he make 8 years.
Well, you know what? That's what they said. Saxman, that's what they said in 2016. Okay.
Yeah, that's true.
See, and I have a lot to blame Hillary, because Hillary didn't do what she was supposed to do. Okay, and I have a lot to blame on the activists. Black Lives Matter. I mean, everybody here has to take a piece of the pie on what happened, because we allowed this to happen. Our failure to go out and vote caused this, okay? Our failure to back proper candidates caused this, okay? Our failure to let somebody, activist or somebody, change our attitude and not look at what's going on. I remember talking to people that went to the Green Party, a young lady in Columbus, when I was on a violence panel, that said, I'm not going to worry about what Trump do. I can't live my life like that. Now, she's getting ready to lose her disability checks.
Wow.
Okay. And she's losing her housing. Okay. It trickles down.
How could people feel that they don't play a part in what goes on in the White House?
Because, you know, we, as a people, don't make people understand. We don't even look at it in our own backyards. It starts with our mayor. Look at the crime in our city.
Oh, my God.
Okay. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to go right there off of Trump right there. And I want everybody to look at it, because the hearing is still going on. And we're going to talk about that week after next. But I want to talk about this right here.
Wait a minute. Isn't it 70 homicides so far this year?
No, it's over 83 homicides.
Oh, 83 now. Damn.
The
13
city,
since last
I'm going to say this again. In 2004, because we're going to talk about East Cleveland, and this goes right into what we're talking about. In 2004, the city of Cleveland laid off 500 officers.
Okay.
Nobody cared.
Yeah.
Okay. Nobody wanted to pay the extra money. Okay. We have activists talking about officers not getting training. We have activists talking about the city going down. We have activists that's coming out to try to do the right thing. We have activists that's going for criminal justice reform. I was on a violence panel in Columbus last week. Okay. And I can tell everybody right now about East Cleveland. The politicians do not want to deal with East Cleveland. The politicians are not going to put their hands on East Cleveland. The wine is trying to go into the governorship. Okay. That's the last thing he want to talk about. Okay. The state's going to take over the schools in East Cleveland. Okay. The state wants East Cleveland to go under so they can put a receivership or appoint a trustee in that location just to solve the problem. Okay. So the activists that's in East Cleveland got a lot of things going. We did the town hall. Okay. And when we broadcast live from the town hall, I think that was show 406, it was live. First of all, they threw the press off of the off the property.
They stick the dogs on Shawn.
Then the city attacked activists. Okay, and I say this to all the activists: when you get personal or muddy, you got to disclose anything, because the mayor had a town hall friendly area, okay, and he went after the activists.
Yeah.
He allowed his police officer, and I got a problem with this.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is where the problem comes in with me, and I said this at the violence conference. My problem is here is a black mayor in a city with many problems, and he's going to allow a white man, his white police chief, to attack black citizens. I got a problem with that. Okay, I got a problem with the mayor allowing him to attack, even though you have a problem with a black woman. You are a black man, okay, an elected official. How does that look when you are a black elected official and you allow a white man to attack your black citizens? Okay, that's where I got the problem with it. Okay, I'm not taking sides on anything or with anybody. We had the activists on our channel and we talked about it. Miss Crenshaw, I love her to death because she is one that speaks, go after and speak it. Justin is a young man that's coming up, that's getting political. I will back him doing that. I am pro-police.
That's right.
Okay. I talked to the police PIO. We got statements. I talked to the councilman. We got statements. But I cannot have go along with a black councilman, black city, black mayor, everybody black. And you allow a white man in a police department who your citizens are telling you you're violating their constitutional rights. They have the right to get up there and say whatever they want to say about a police officer, about the mayor, about a city worker, because they paying them.
That's right.
Okay. So if I want to put your name in the mud and throw dog do over it, I have that right because I'm paying you, but you do not have the right to have a white man stand in a hall. And what really made me sick was when black people was laughing and clapping and going along with it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That cannot be taken.
Absolutely.
But you know what? The control room is telling me that they got the interviews up. So let's hear the interviews and then we'll go back in East Cleveland because I want to talk about some things that we were checking on. Some of the officers that the claims was their Saxman. I want to ask you about Larry McDonald, Lundy. Okay, you did on Saxman knocked out his first show, everybody.
Yeah.
And he on the airway on STMK Radio 100.
Right.
But the control room is saying we got those interviews up. So let's go into East Cleveland Town Hall.
It's not that we don't know that we have a problem. We've known it for years. It's not that we don't know what the solutions are. We've known those for years. The problem is we haven't done anything about it.
Today was a criminal complaint against police officers in East Cleveland.
And prior to that is that I had sent a public records request over for the police officers who were involved in the high-speed chase. Turn that over to the FBI. Is working in East Cleveland and also without OPATA certifications. But East Cleveland has demonstrated, number one, that no one in the leadership of the city government, the mayor, the council, the prosecuting attorney, the judge, the chief of police are responsible enough to manage a law enforcement agency.
It's not that we don't know that we have a problem. We've known it for years. It's not that we don't know what the solutions are. We've known those for years. The problem is we haven't done anything about it.
Residents have already gathered the necessary signatures on a petition to disband the East Cleveland Police.
Is that petition going to be submitted to the BOE, the Board of Elections?
Yes, the petition should be submitted to the Board of Elections sometime within the next few weeks. It's probably going to be going to a special election, but I believe the residents will speak at the voting box and that they will vote to disband the East Cleveland Police Department.
But this is very concerning. It is. It's disturbing. You know, they're supposed to protect and serve us, and if you're riding around intoxicated...
It's about transparency and accountability. Video was shared with me, and all I could do was shake my head.
We got Councilman Nathaniel Martin here, been a long-time councilman for the city of East Cleveland, a critic of the administration, one that's been fighting for a change. Councilman Martin, can we get you to say a couple of words for us?
We need unity and transparency, period, and that's lacking. And we need to be frugal in our spending. We can't be spending over $50,000 to $100,000 on cutting grass. We need to find employment for our youth. We need more citizen involvement and engagement.
Now, Councilman Martin, let me ask you this question right here, because you're the only city official that is brave enough to come on the air to talk to the press. 3 of the individuals that arrested a serial killer named Michael Madison is claimed not to be properly trained police officers, and now that arrest may come into question if they're not properly certified. What's your feelings about that?
They have to be in compliance. They have to get to training. That's a state issue. The administrative code stipulates that. That's the question that's up. So the truth will come out. The bottom line when it comes to the police stops with the mayor. He's over them. He's over the police chief.
Right. He's the chief executive officer.
So he has to make sure that the officers are in compliance and make sure that the officers get the proper training, because things change all the time.
So let me ask you this question. Will council write legislation or ordinance to force the mayor and the law director to comply with state requirements when it comes to police officers, so you won't have this problem?
It's hard to say because you've got 5 individuals with their own minds. But what needs to take place, we can legislate if we can get enough votes to put it on the ballot and have those individuals elected instead of appointed.
Now, what do you have to say to the citizens? Because, I went to the East Cleveland's Facebook page, and this is something that came up that is really unheard of. And the officers on that page, I do believe it is in violation of the East Cleveland social media policy. But as a city official, is it good for law enforcement officers to be attacking the citizens that they serve on Facebook?
Absolutely. If that's the case, absolutely not. No, they're supposed to protect and serve, not harass and agitate, if you know what I mean. So no, that's not their role. Okay.
So let me ask you one more question. I'm going to let you go into the meeting because I know the mayor, and we appreciate you standing with us and talking with us live on the air. Stop the Madness, keep it 100. What do you have to say about these problems of mismanagement of money, the police department not properly protecting and their citizens? What would you say as a sitting councilman to the citizens who don't know about what all this is going on and don't want to get involved in the politics of everything, but they want to be protected, respected, and taken care of? What is the message that the city of East Cleveland and you have for them?
They have to step up, do their homework, do their research, and get the truth. They have a responsibility. All the officials are elected officials. The bottom line is we're accountable to the people. But if the people don't hold us accountable, that's another issue. They have to step up. They have to do their homework. They hear one side, they hear the other side, and they then come up with the truth. They have to be involved, and they have to vote.
Thank you, Councilman Mark. We appreciate you coming over there with us, and we appreciate you giving us the interview.
The video was shared with me, and all I could do was shake my head.
There's nobody that's going to condone the behavior of Detective Marche. He accepted full responsibility. It was obviously an error in judgment. And like I said, nobody feels worse than Joe Marche.
Now, when you look at this, at that town hall, residents was complaining about Detective Marche. He got arrested drunk, carrying an AK Heckler and Koch or AK-47 fully loaded automatic weapon in a police car, undercover police car, which he tried to run over a Bracknell police officer. Okay, and had that been anybody else, he probably would have got shot. But due to the fact that he was a white male, Bracknell really gave him a break, and then Bracknell didn't charge him with weapon violations. Okay, what's wrong, Sax, man?
Now I got Mike.
Yeah,
There
you go. You all right. You over there playing with yourself. So they didn't charge him with weapon violation. So I want to go right into some of this misconduct.
That's a brotherhood thing, man.
But I want to go into this misconduct right here, Sax, man, because the one thing was, we're talking about this right now. The Me Too movement, Mrs. Summers, I want you to think about that because I'm coming back to you in just a minute. But we got Detective Larry McDonald, who has sexual misconduct allegations all through the city. Okay, and if you remember back, I think, Saxman, you brought this out on your show where Mrs. Crenshaw said it started with Larry McDonald and then it snowballed.
Right. Now that's what she said. Based on the interview I gave her, she said they was investigating Larry McDonald because of all the complaints that was coming down on him from females and other people, wrongful misconduct. the way they was pulling people over. He was making them do certain things that was a violation of their rights. So when all those complaints was coming down, she decided to investigate along with the citizens. She said the citizens was investigating, and they discovered that all of the other things that was going on as far as him not being appointed, him having a criminal history, him not being current on the CPT training, and a slew of things. And then other names came out during her investigation, which led to a list of people.
Right, and we're gonna talk about that because everybody. This isn't just one officer, isn't two officers, isn't three officers. Because if you heard in my interview with the councilman, I brought out a situation that I even asked the governor who's running for election. I asked the sitting governor the question also. And the problem is this. You have a serial killer sitting in jail, okay? You have police officers who are alleged not to be operating in compliance with their job description, okay? The state didn't put them in cease and desist mode, but as the way that the administrative code is set up, if you do not automatically do what you're supposed to do, at the end of the year, December 31st, you go into a cease and desist mode, okay? We even have allegations of falsification of official documents by the city of East Cleveland. But this is the problem that I have. And I asked the governor this, and I asked the two people running for governors this. You have a serial killer sitting in jail. 3 of the officers on this list, one name is Detective Scott Gardner, who is the PIO for the city of East Cleveland, Ernie Stanford, and some other officers. They had to go get search warrants, okay? And they arrested this individual and convicted him and put him in jail. So now you're telling me if this individual come back and what is stated is true, how are they going to keep this man in jail?
If what Ms. Crenshaw said in her investigation and all the allegations is absolutely true, is what Shawn was saying, based on her investigation, found out that they are not in compliance. A lot of those officers have been in compliance for years, and a lot of them are not sworn, that they violated this man's rights, obtained search warrants when they wasn't supposed to be obtaining search warrants because they're not police officers. That's what she's alleging.
But this is what I'm saying, Sax, man. If they challenge the search warrants, they'll go to body. If you don't have a body, how can you convict a man for a murder? So we're going to have a killer walking back on our streets.
Possible.
And the governor, who Mike DeWine, because this is his watch, you know, he like to talk about what happens on other people's watches because he want to talk about the rape kits and all that other stuff, and we're going to do a story on that because we're doing a thing. So what is he going to do about this?
Yeah. Well,
okay. What is he going to do for the citizens?
He's gonna have to do his job and investigate all these allegations, all this investigation.
Well, allegations don't mean anything because, you know, we went down to Lucas County Sheriff's Office.
Let's hear about that.
You know, we went down to Lucas County Sheriff's Office. We talked to the people there in the Sheriff's Office. We talked to their PIO. We talked to a lot of people. You have an officer right now named Lundy in East Cleveland.
Kenneth Lasavo, is that what you said?
No, Lundy. We talking about Lundy.
Yeah, okay.
Lundy worked for the Lucas County Sheriff's Office as a CO. He was alleged to have been forcing female prisoners to do sexual acts for extra food or privileges, okay? But he was never convicted or caught doing that, okay? When they set up the sting, they got his buddy first, okay? And when they got his buddy, Lundy quit.
Well, yeah, she said Lundy got wind of it.
Well, no, I'm going to tell you what, we're not talking about what Ms. Crenshaw said. We personally talked to the Lucas County Sheriff's Office. Lucas County Sheriff's Office informed us that they did a sting to catch the 2 COs who was alleged doing sexual misconduct and violating women's constitutional rights in the jail. Lundy went off sick, okay? So they wasn't able, when they set up the sting, Lundy was off sick. They caught the one CO that was doing it with him, okay? And when Lundy found out that he got caught, Lundy resigned and left the force, which means the investigation stopped, okay?
On him, yes.
On him. Then he went to a location, the Department of Youth Services, okay? We went to the Department of Youth Services, and we spoke to their thing with our investigators.
Okay.
And we finding a double thing here. We got a letter from the Department of Youth Services, and it clearly states that Lundy resigned, but he did not resign under improper situation, okay? Which means he didn't resign because they was going to fire him.
Right.
That's what the state is saying.
Right.
State is saying that he had some problems there, and he just quit. He didn't quit in lieu of being terminated.
Is that what Ms. Crenshaw said, that he originally supposed to have quit before they was going to close in on him?
Well, you know, I don't remember what she said, her exact words, but we talked to them, and we went to the state, and we wanted to get with the state with that. And the state gave us a letter that he did not resign under lieu of termination. But the problem goes back to this. Who's doing the background checks? Because if he left the Lucas County Sheriff's Office for sexual misconduct with females in the jail, why is he in our youth facilities with our kids?
Right.
He's a sexual predator.
Right.
Okay? Regardless whether he got convicted or he got found, this is a civil service position. He should have never been allowed to go back into a state job.
Okay.
And then you come up to the biggest case right here. It's the CMHA case of him arresting, violating somebody's constitutional rights and arresting for them for CCW, okay? Now, this case right here, the police officer did a good report, but he did a some report, and this is what made us go to Lucas County and made us go back. Because what the police officer is alleging in his report, Lucas County and them is saying, well, wait a minute, that's a matter of opinions.
Okay.
Okay. So there again, he left a county police department and went back to another police job. There's a problem
And that
there.
was at CMHA.
Right. There's a problem there. He should have never been hired at CMHA if he had a problem with sexual misconduct and violating the rules in Lucas County.
Right.
Okay. Then you have another case.
Somebody dropped the ball, man.
Okay. All these officers.
Time and time again. They didn't drop the ball just once from the sound.
Multiple times.
And then when you go into some of these things, I'm going to go back to your boy.
McDonough?
No, Eric Brewer. Eric
Brewer.
Jonathan Brewer.
Right.
He was the mayor of the city of East Cleveland.
Yes.
Now, he wants to stand up and be clean. Okay.
I asked him about that. I say, well, weren't you mayor doing all this time out there in East Cleveland?
But he want to stand up and be clean.
Yeah.
Now, this is where I have a problem. And this is where everybody's making a pit of his at. And this is where the problem, where I told the activists and stuff, is that when you say Eric Jonathan Brewer's name, that's toxic. And then everybody's pointing out, under his watch, some of those forms that were falsified was done and submitted to the state of Ohio. Now, I understand everybody want to say Tone the Stone, rubber stamp Sean's name, okay? But no, the buck stops at the top of the rock.
Shouldn't he proofread everything before it goes out in the mail?
Not only should he proofread it, should nothing leave City Hall unless he read, or he got his right-hand man, Tony Stone, read it. See, Tony Stone, my right-hand man.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But Tony Stone couldn't rubber stamp something for me.
Right.
Okay. That's what gets you in trouble. Okay. So now he wants to be clean. Okay. But you can't be clean because the department can't be dirty. Then you come in and it skips over you and then go back dirty with Norton.
Okay.
Okay. It's dirty all the way up. Okay. So these officers that got cease and desist letters still working on in the streets. Okay. That means right there, it's not the officer's fault, Saxon. I'm going to say this right here. The state attorney general should go back and put every city prosecutor in jail, every city mayor in jail, the chief of staff in jail, and every chief of police that was there up under this should be indicted.
You say the prosecutors, the ones that prosecuted those cases. That
the law director.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Because the law director got a letter from the state of Ohio. The mayor got a letter from the state of Ohio.
Saying that for them to cease and desist.
The judge got a letter from the state of Ohio. The county prosecutor got a letter from the state of Ohio.
Okay.
Okay? So I'm going to say the state of Ohio is even negligent, because if they didn't send these letters out, then that means nobody knew. Okay, so O'Malley and all those in the county prosecutor's office, guess what? We're talking about hundreds of people's rights violated in our community. It wouldn't happen in a white community, okay? They should be indicted for dereliction of duty. A grand jury should be impaneled right now, and that grand jury should require the state of Ohio to come in to say if those individuals were properly certified to be out on our city streets working as a police officer. Then that grand jury should be sitting there contemplating charges on the ex-prosecutors, the law directors, the mayor, including Eric Jonathan Brewer. He should be charged with dereliction of duty. It's on his watch.
Yeah, he always say he's willing to prosecute somebody.
Norton should be charged with dereliction of duty. A grand jury should impanel. I mean, if all these people has been irreparably harmed and the city has no way to compensate them, all those police chiefs, all those law directors, and all those mayors in the city of East Cleveland that allowed this to go on should be indicted for felony dereliction of duty.
Yeah. Well, Shawn, don't hold your breath waiting on that
Well,
one.
I'm not gonna hold my breath, because you know why, Tony Stone? I talked to some politicians, and what I just tell you earlier in this segment, they don't want to deal with it. Okay, there's 3 court cases right now before the Common Pleas Court, and guess what? They're not even going to touch it or deal with it. Okay, they don't want this problem. DeWine want to be your governor. Okay, come November 6th, he might pick it up and deal with it. Okay, but I doubt if he do it now.
No, of course he's not. Of course he's not, because that's going to make it look bad. He's going to look bad to all law enforcement agencies if he go after law enforcement.
Right, so he's not going to pick it up.
And he going to lose votes in that community.
And I'm going to say this now. I haven't heard anything else about the petition to disband the police department.
I ain't heard no more either. I've been waiting to listen.
I'm going to tell you this. When we walk the streets of East Cleveland, right now, the East Cleveland Police Department has a problem.
Well, I hope they don't disband
because
it, because
60,
they need,
I'm going to tell you this,
law enforcement in that
60% of the people we talk to. Now, you had people to say, no, they're not going to do it because if they get rid of the police, they in bad shape. Okay,
right, exactly.
But 60% of the people we talk to are willing to disband the police department. They have as Tony say, they have a bad odor about the police department. They feel that the police officers are abusing their constitutional rights. They feel that the black police officers have failed to realize what the descent degree was to put them on the police force.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There's a lot of problems there. The city of East Cleveland can wake up November 7th or when the special election is done and find their police department disbanded. Okay. And there's a lot of issues because, they're trying to make it personal.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
The chief had a obligation at the town hall, and I'm going to say this again, to bring all that documentation, get up in front of the citizens of East Cleveland, and talk about the allegations that's made against this police department, and disprove the allegations made against the police department. Not make it personal on an activist. Not make it personal talking about somebody's record, talking about somebody's but they only doing this because of that.
That was cold-blooded.
But see, that's wrong because that's not his responsibility.
Right.
If I got a bone to pick with the police department and I say something, it's your job as a public official to come into that public meeting. Here go the papers. My officers are properly certified.
Right.
They're wrong. I understand they're wrong. This is the problem. But when you make it personal and do not produce the papers, now we got a problem.
That was a rally to help build.
No, what that wasn't a rally. That was a mayor's hand-picked town hall. He had his people there. He had everybody there.
Yep.
That's why they did it. That's why they didn't want the press there.
Right.
That's why they controlled it there. And the Salvation Army played partners
You
with
could call it
the
a
mayor.
pep rally. It was a pep rally.
That's what it was, a pep rally. But you know what? Right there,
It was silly.
we're going to hold that thought because we got to go pay some bills. But everybody, we got a young lady with us that when we come back out free for all, we're going to talk a little bit about some Me Too movement, okay? And I'm going to make her talk about Mr. Cosby.
Yeah.
Okay, because I have a problem with that, and I'm gonna wait till the second hour to tell you about that problem with it.
I got a problem
because they went back 35 years on my boy. Okay, and now they saying we shouldn't even be thinking about somebody making allegations 35 years ago, okay? And that was a GOP prosecutor who ran on putting this black man in jail. But we're going to talk about that when we come back from our commercial, paying our breaks. And right there, Tony Stone, I want you to get your mic fired up and get ready.
Are you prepared to navigate today's bond markets for your clients? With decades of experience, MFS has helped advisors uncover fixed income investment opportunities through volatile markets. Learn more at MFS.com.
AP Radio News. I'm Rita Foley. Will you be watching? Senator Susan Collins, a moderate Republican and a key vote, says she will be glued to the television as Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh and his chief accuser testify separately before the Senate Judiciary Committee. A vote is already scheduled.
The Senate Judiciary Committee says it will vote Friday on whether to recommend Judge Kavanaugh's nomination to the full Senate. That would be just a day after the first accuser, Christine Blasey Ford, is questioned about her allegation she was the victim of sexual assault by Kavanaugh when they were in high school, a charge he denies. The committee's hired an experienced sex crimes prosecutor to ask the questions of Dr. Ford and Judge Kavanaugh. A second accuser's come forward but is not expected to testify. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell says he's confident there are enough votes for a confirmation vote next week. Jackie Quinn, Washington.
Bill Cosby's lawyers plan an appeal, but for now, he's beginning 3 to 10 years in prison for sexual assault. Oscar Wells Gabriel reports.
Bill Cosby will probably be sent to a place called Laurel Highlands, located in western Pennsylvania. It is set up to serve inmates with special needs. For example, it has separate housing units for geriatric prisoners and programs for sex offenders. Cosby fits that in both respects. He is 81 and was branded a sexually violent predator by the judge before he was sentenced.
Delta Airlines flights were grounded for a while overnight. The airline says it had a technology problem. It says its IT systems have been restored and flights are no longer grounded. Delta isn't saying what caused the problem. It looks like house and car loans are going to get more expensive. Today, the Federal Reserve is expected to raise interest rates for the third time this year. This is AP Radio News. Ever been to Acapulco?
It was once the destination for vacationers to Mexico. Today, Acapulco is one of Mexico's most dangerous cities, and the once glittering resort took another public relations hit Tuesday when authorities disarmed the entire police force. Officials of Guerrero State say the local cops have probably been infiltrated by drug gangs, and there's now complete inaction on the part of municipal police in fighting the crime wave. The action was not without precedent. In Guerrero State alone, local police in more than a dozen towns and cities have been disarmed since 2014. I'm Mike Rossian.
Now to women in combat. Retired Marine, now Defense Secretary Jim Mattis, says the jury is still out on whether women can be successful in the infantry. He told cadets at Virginia Military Institute that there aren't enough women in the infantry at the moment to provide the data they need to answer that question. I'm Rita Foley, AP Radio News.
A great business needs a stunning website. And with Wix.com, you can do it all by yourself. Wix.com makes it easy to look amazing online, no matter what type of business you're in. Show off your images in a beautiful gallery. Grow your contact list and get all your social media in one place, just the way you want. Your customers are going to love it. So, what are you waiting for? Show the world what you can do.
Stop the madness. Keep it 100. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100 with your hosts, Shawn L, Let, and Tone the Stone. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 with live call-ins, heated discussions about current events, politics, national news, weather, and sports. Join our live online chat room and let your opinion show. Download our phone app. Stop the madness. Keep it 100 on STMK Radio 100. Come join us from 6 to 8 p.m. Mondays through Fridays. The best talk show on the web is here on STMK Radio 100. Call us at 1-866-484-7865. That's 1-866-484-STMK. Stop the madness.
Geico presents Sharing versus Oversharing. Earlier this week, Claire Tippins shared a princess nickname generator, 3 pictures of her dog wearing a tutu, and 2 online quizzes, including, what candy is your dream castle made of? Claire, your sharing has tipped the sugar scale and turned into oversharing. But have no fear, princess. Geico has something worth sharing with your internet kingdom, like how you could save hundreds on your car insurance just by visiting geico.com. No magic wand required. Geico.
At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Check out Reverend Bill Miller's Bible study radio broadcast live on the new STMK Radio 100 at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Please listen in and support him as he joins the realm of broadcasting to encourage believers and offer the comfort of God to others across the airwaves. At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100. Also, feel free to contact him for prayer, counseling, and conversation at brobill9608@yahoo.com. That's BROBILL9608@yahoo.com. At the table with Reverend Bill Miller on STMK Radio 100.
STMK Radio 100.
Celebrate the work of one of Cleveland's great leaders at the George L. Forbes Celebration Weekend. Tribute dinner Saturday, October 13th, and free community event George L. Forbes Day on Sunday. Get your tickets now. Visit WRHS.org today.
Women like me aren't supposed to run for office. I wasn't born to a wealthy or powerful family. Mother from Puerto Rico, dad from the South Bronx. I was born in a place where your zip code determines your destiny. My name is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. I'm an educator, an organizer, a working-class New Yorker. I've worked with expectant mothers, I've waited tables and led classrooms. And going into politics wasn't in the plan. But after 20 years of the same representation, we have to ask, who has New York been changing for? Every day gets harder for working families like mine to get by. The rent gets higher, healthcare covers less, and our income stays the same. It's clear that these changes haven't been for us, and we deserve a champion. It's time to fight for a New York that working families can afford. That's why I'm running for Congress. This race is about people versus money. We've got people, they've got money. It's time we acknowledge that not all Democrats are the same. That a Democrat who takes corporate money, profits off foreclosure, doesn't live here, doesn't send his kids to our schools, doesn't drink our water or breathe our air, cannot possibly represent us. What the Bronx and Queens needs is Medicare for all, tuition-free public college, a federal jobs guarantee, and criminal justice reform. We can do it now. It doesn't take 100 years to do this. It takes political courage. A New York for the many is possible. It's time for one of us. Vote for Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
You've been tuned in to Stop the Madness, keeping it 100 on STMK Radio 100. And now back to your host one more time, Shawn L, Let, and Tone the Stone.
Those who strive to turn the clock back will not be successful, because the arc of justice bends toward that which is good and that which is right. African Americans have been through the storm. We've been through slavery. We've been through segregation. We've been through all of that. And yet, look where we are today.
Hey, welcome back for our second hour right here. Tone the Stone in Studio 51, the Diamond Boy.
Back like I never left. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you a little bit. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Back like I never left.
Sean got a habit of not giving us ears.
But you know what? Sometimes y'all need to talk. But it goes back. we got a young lady here. We're gonna talk to Miss Summers.
Wait. Before we go to Miss Summers, David A. Terry on Facebook Live asked me to ask you, Sean, do you remember what happened? What your horse did in front of May Company downtown? It says that's when I owned the travel agency and May Company. Your horse must have done something in front of his store.
Well, what do horses do when they standing still?
Shit.
They put fertilizer out.
So that's what your horse did in front of his store?
Every time we walk around. But let me say this. We got a young lady in Studio 51 with us. And I mean, she really, really got it going on. She got her book together.
Yeah.
Mrs. Summers.
Hi.
Sadie.
It's Sade.
Sade.
He be cutting up some names, don't he?
Hey,
come on, man. I know you know Sade.
Hey, I'm going to say this. Sade Summers is in here with us for the book. And she wrote a nice book. She's going to tell us about the book, and we're going to get into it in a minute.
Right.
But we're going to go back here where we left off right there. Sax Man,
yep.
When we went to East Cleveland, but I want to leave East Cleveland for a minute because I want to ask you some questions right here, Sax Man.
Here we go.
And I want to go into this. We had some major court decisions and some major trials going on right now.
Okay.
And I want everybody sitting here. The biggest trial that's going on is the white police female officers that went into the wrong apartment in Dallas, Texas, and shot the owner of the apartment.
Yeah.
What's going on with that, Sex Man?
What's going on? It's simple. It's simple. She ain't. Listen, it was several stories that was said. Yeah. Some people say they heard her knocking on the door, telling him to let her in. Then another story said that she had to force her way in. So that's a sign right there. That ain't your place. If you got to force your way in your own apartment.
But they only charge it with manslaughter.
Of course, because they don't want to. I told you, it's a.
We ain't even about to get into
You know,
that.
it's a brotherhood.
Miss Summers, what you think about that?
I think that the whole situation is just real sketchy.
Just turn your mic up a little bit. The control room is saying that they can't hear you. Bring it back a little bit so you can talk in front of it.
Can you hear me now?
There you go. All right.
I feel like the whole situation in general is just very sketchy. Like, it's so many different stories going on about that. And it's like, I've heard that she dated him. I heard that she wanted to be with him.
I heard the same
I'm
thing.
hearing that he broke up with her, lovers quarrel. I'm hearing all of these different things. But at the end of the day, no matter what is being said, because she's, you know, she's a white police officer. I ain't want to be the one to say it, but because she's a white police officer, they're going to give her a slap on the wrist.
Of course.
They're going to allow her to just be like, oh, well, you know what? I was underworked and overpaid, and I was tired, and, you know, it doesn't matter.
Right. Well, wait a minute. Did you hear about the young kid with the musical instrument that got shot dead by a police officer? Because he thought it was a machine gun?
But, Saxman, before you
Come
go...
on
wait a
now.
minute, before you go there, Saxman, hold on.
Okay.
Tony Stone, what you think about this Texas case?
The good thing about it, it's a silver line in every cloud. The good thing about it is that they convicted her of something.
They haven't convicted her, nothing. She just charged.
I thought she. So she hasn't been convicted of manslaughter yet.
Her indictment says manslaughter.
But
well, I have no comment.
Well, let me say this.
You can be indicted all day long. That don't mean nothing.
Wait a minute. Let me say this, because you know what? I don't think anybody in Cleveland, Ohio, or anybody in the studio actually knows something. So let me break some bread with y'all right here.
All right, let's break some bread.
Remember when I tell everybody, when you fail to go out and vote, and you fail to do your civic duties, and we allow people who do not look like us or people who fear us make laws.
Right.
Now, we all know that this white policewoman went into this man's apartment and shot this man dead, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And we all know it was, she's saying that she was tired and it was a mistake and she couldn't go in there. Your phone off, man. So what happened is, there is, and let me tell you this, there's a law in Texas that the GOP put in place. And the law is called a mistake of facts. Now, and I want everybody to understand this when I say this, mistake of facts. That means someone is not guilty of a crime if the person genuinely act under a reasonable but mistaken belief in facts.
Yep.
What that is, if that is true, that would mean that their conduct is not a crime.
It's excused.
Yeah. And I acknowledge that there can be a dispute over whether that police officer believed that that young man was a burglar in her apartment. Was that reasonable?
But it wasn't her apartment. If it was her apartment.
It doesn't make a difference, because under Texas law, this is what I'm telling you, under
Facts
Texas laws, if I come home and I worked a 16-hour shift, and my apartment is set up the same way that apartment is, and I go to the 4th floor and I live on the 3rd floor, and I get out and I'm coming into the apartment, do I believe I'm coming into my apartment?
If your key don't work, then you should know
but
something.
How do
They
we know?
have
How right.
Whatever
So,
the case
but
may
Tone,
be. If it didn't
but
work,
Tone,
if the fob didn't work.
I was told the fob lights up
the
green
law is this.
if you're going in.
Wait a minute, but this is the law. Check this out.
Right.
What if the door was open? We don't know. But what I'm saying is,
I understand what the law is. Yeah.
she is saying in Texas they have a law on the books that say if you make a actual true mistake, it's called mistake of facts. That's a defense, like self-defense law. I killed somebody.
Yeah, it's always a
because
loophole.
I felt scared
It's
for
always a
my
loophole.
life.
This ain't a loophole.
The power. That's exactly a
no.
loophole.
This is a law.
A loophole.
No, this
for
is actual
people.
law.
Yeah.
But
The
at the
law.
same-
The people who made that law, they made it to get people who they choose of their choosing off in situations
And
like
that's
this.
the
That's
same-
why it's a loophole.
And you
Exactly.
can't let the
Exactly.
exception become the rule either. Like with this
Right.
situation, I just feel like she knows the law and she's using it to her advantage.
But it's like what Sean said. We got people who are afraid of us making these laws.
Yeah.
Right, like stand your ground.
Yep.
But that also,
They're afraid of it.
stems from it. It comes from us not standing up and actually going to vote.
Well,
that's
that's the whole
from.
problem.
That's the problem.
Our civil duty. This is what I'm telling everybody right now. If you remember what Barack Obama said when we played his speech when he was here in Cleveland, it can get a lot worse. Okay, nobody at this point in time, nobody can sit on the sidelines. Okay, and do anything. Now, Saxon, I'm going to come back to you this because I don't want you to get away from me right here because in Texas, the same. I'm going to stay in Texas right now. You know, they convicted that police officer of murder, gave him 30 years for shooting that little boy who was leaving the party.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And I tell all my law enforcement.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking about, the conviction. Okay.
And I tell all my law enforcement officers and my friends and everybody in law enforcement, new prosecutors and them are now coming into office, and they are holding your conduct to a certain extent, okay? You need to start following your training and policy. You need to start doing things properly because somebody's going to look at that. And that brings us right to the biggest case going that I was going to talk about the other day on Chicago.
Well, hold up. I got a problem. I don't have a problem with what you just said. It's just the way you said it, talking about the people that's making the laws is scared of us and getting out and vote, and then you say like, oh yeah, you cops, y'all need to start watching y'all need to start checking y'all behavior because this shit ain't gonna fly no more. I think that's sending the wrong message. Like,
well, I'm telling
it ain't not checking their behavior. That shit shouldn't have never existed in the first place.
What I'm saying, Tony, is they need to follow their training and the law. Okay, period.
Common sense.
Right. I'm not condoning any wrongdoing. What I'm saying is, if you follow your training and the law says you treat everybody with respect and equal treatment, you won't have a problem. Okay? If you get out of that police car and come into the neighborhood, which we're going to talk about next week with Dorian Blair, because he's dealing, we're dealing right now on a commission with the police review board commission and everything. And this is what we're talking about. See, you don't have to we don't have to reinvent the wheel, Tone. This is the problem that everybody's having.
A lot of things we do need to reinvent
the
wheel.
We don't need, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. What you need to do is put some good rubber on it.
Yeah.
See, because the problem is this, and I want to say this to
that was a good
everybody.
No,
right?
it wasn't.
That was a good analogy.
No, it wasn't.
Come on,
you got to reinvent the wheel.
Don't hate, Tone.
But see, this is the problem, Tone. Let me say this. When the police commission sit down and talk about training, you can train a police officer and give him all the training and education in the world. Somebody's going to have to show him.
If he don't mean right, he ain't going to
do
right.
No, it ain't about meaning right, Tone. But somebody has to show him to come out and apply that education and training. Law enforcement is not like going into the Ford plant, putting a tire or building a car. Okay? You're dealing with human beings and emotions.
But see, you're talking about the average cops, the ones that are just average Joes who are regular people who drink and drive like everybody else. Who make? I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the bad, the really bad ones. Who the uniform is just a
wait a minute, but Tom, how you know they're bad?
guys for them?
How you know they're bad?
Because evil people do evil things.
Right, but they're a part of society, so you won't know.
So no training is going to stop an evil person from being evil.
But no training is going to stop anything if it's not properly applied. Okay, you don't have to be evil to make a mistake.
Yeah, I'm not talking about mistakes. I'm talking about the ones that are just blatantly.
That's far and few, Tom. Because
flagrant and
Tom, that's far and few because
but they're still out there.
No, but most police officers do not make flagrant or go out to violate the law. It happens in the incident of not properly applying the law or anger. Okay, yes,
that's the extreme cases.
If you look at the trial, you look at the trial in Chicago right now.
Which one?
The McDonald trial, where the police officer, the guy was acting crazy with the knife, and the police officer got out and shot him 16 times.
Right. Okay.
Okay. They charged him with murder.
Okay.
But when you start looking at his training, you start looking at the law, you start looking at what's going on, he may have been in compliance with what he was doing at the time he killed the young man. Okay.
Okay.
So it goes back to he had the training, he had the knowledge, okay, but somewhere in when he came out, somebody failed to apply that to him, okay? And this is the problem. This is why everybody on every job, I don't care what job you go on, if it's a prosecutor job, somebody there has to train you how to do the job, okay? Somebody, you just leave college. Somebody has to train you how to apply to do this
Everything
job
you just
of the knowledge that you learned. Okay, and that's the problem I'm telling you. So it goes back to the training, the FTOs. It goes back to the guys that's on the force. That's where the problem is at. The problem is when I put Tone, a good guy, with this slug or bad guy.
So hold on one second, Shaw. So you're saying that what he did might have been right in the sense that he was trained to do it. So you're saying that the training needs to be better.
No,
Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is you can have the training and you can have the knowledge, but if someone does not teach you how to apply that to the job you're doing, you can make a mistake.
It's what I said 3 years ago. I said this when I first came on the air with Shawn. Shawn asked me the question, what do we need to do? I said it starts with the FTOs. I said the FTOs, everything they learn in the academy is one thing, but when they get on the streets and they get with the trainer, just like Shawn said, applies everything to him and makes sure he follows everything by the letter. So
I got you.
It starts with the FTOs. I said that.
But I want to say this. I want to say this for Chicago.
It actually starts with the individual.
No.
I get you. I got you.
The individual got the training.
You know where it goes back to? It's not. See, when you come on a job, Tone, this is the problem with everybody has to understand. Every person on this earth is an individual.
Mm-hmm.
You got good people, you got bad people, you got evil people. Okay, now nobody knows whether you're good or bad until you get out there and show your worth. Okay, which means if you get the proper training, FTO and supervision, they may not be able to stop you from making the mistakes you made. Okay, but they can stop you from doing it from years and years and years and years. Okay, Michael Amiot, the Euclid officer. Okay, classic example. He got fired from Mentor. He went to Euclid. He had 5 use of force complaints. Euclid allowed him to stay on the force and continue to be out there. Remember, I told you it wasn't your job to go into schools and raise people kids as police officers. Okay, he slammed a 16-year-old girl. Okay, he got fired because a supervisor told him not to write a ticket at a sign that says "Stop here" on red. Okay, had he listened to that supervisor, he'd probably still be a police officer right now. Okay. But when you don't do what you're told to do and you continue to go out there and do what you're doing, what happens? Situation blow up on you.
But once again, that didn't have. Yeah, that was the excuse he used to pull the man over that he choked out, that he didn't stop here on red. But it was racial profiling, which is something that was in him.
Well,
there's no training for racial profiling.
There again, what I just said.
There's no training for that.
That's what I just said. An individual. But guess what, Tone? If you under my watch and I'm training you, I will be able to see where your mindset is. I will be able to go to Saxman as the sergeant and say, hey, he's not qualified to be here. The guy that killed Tamir Rice, his sergeant did that. Said, hey, this guy's not right. He shouldn't be here. He shouldn't be a police officer. They caught it. Okay? Cleveland didn't catch it. Cleveland overlooked it.
And FTO's job, while you riding with him for 6 months to a year, is to observe you and evaluate you.
And then the supervisor, Tone, you go back to the supervisor, okay? Because I made this, everybody looked at me when I was on the panel and I said this. I think that the citizens should draw up legislation. You heard me ask the councilman some of those questions. That holds the supervisor, ranking officer, accountable for any officer under their command that they have knowledge of that is violating people's constitutional rights. So that means if Saxman go out there and do it, and I overlook it, then I should be charged with felony dereliction of duty, just like Saxman, and pay the cost. And I'm going to tell you this, when you start making people on the top pay costs, the people on the bottom will get in line.
Exactly.
I remember a statement that General George Patton and my sergeant used to say this all the time when I was a rookie. If you cut the head off the horse, the body will fall.
Yep.
You understand? So that means the commanders who making $100,000, if they have to answer for Shawn won't be out there. Okay? I may do it one time, but I'm not going to do it 2 times.
Simple and plain.
Okay? And that's the law that needs to be on the book. You want to stop police accountability? Start with the supervisor. That's what they get paid the big bucks for. But I want to talk for our guests right here, everybody. We're going to get off the police stuff right there. We have a young lady in here that wrote a book. But I want to ask you a question right here because this is the relationship, and we're going to the bottom of the hour, and we're going to talk about relationship, and we had her come back into our studio with us. Miss Summers, I want to ask you a question. You watch Power?
Yes, I do.
Just move up to the mic just a little bit and talk a little bit louder. There you go. There you go.
Of course I watch Power.
Now, in a relationship, everybody's asking this question about how Ghost and Angela got that love and how Ghost, as a man that's supposed to be committed and married with 2 kids, just drop his wife like it's hot and run up.
Is this in your book?
So I got a few things to say about that. I think that with Angela and Ghost, it is definitely a familiarity. I think that Ghost can be completely 100% himself. He is not diluted with Angela. With Tasha, I feel like he was a little bit more diluted. Like if you go back in the earlier seasons in the beginning, she was all about the flash and the materialistic stuff and, oh, you ain't this tough dude and you ain't this big time drug dealer. And he was trying to get away from doing that and being that. And with, I think, Angela, he could do that. And I mean, I don't want to ruin it for nobody.
Was it more him trying to get out the game? Well, I know they had a love. See,
I think that they definitely had a love, but I think that she was his sense of normalcy.
Right, so he can get out the game.
Because he related that to, oh, this was my high school sweetheart. This was before I was like this big time. I'm having these clubs and doing all this crazy dirt. He was in dirt then, but it wasn't nearly as bad. So I
want to know how you gonna relate this to your book.
Oh,
flat out.
Hey, just sit back and watch. Sit back and watch.
But I think that he definitely. I think it was that he had that comfortability with her.
So let me go in because Laura Loren is on Twitter with us, and I love my girl Angela because she's USADA. So
what's that mean?
That's beef.
Yeah, you don't need to know.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I just want to make sure because the USDA is they use that in the drug culture slang too.
It's the United States.
No,
district attorney, assistant district attorney.
I was thinking about beef.
Yeah, see, it's 3 years. That's what I'm saying. So we needed clarification on that. We needed clarification.
We know why you two need clarification. Okay.
So I don't watch the show.
I don't watch the show either.
So let me ask you this before we move into your book.
Okay.
Did you
50 got to let me write an episode, then maybe I'll start watching.
Show 511, the ending.
Yeah.
And you see when Angela took a round.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you what you took the round at, but I'm going to ask you this question. Give me your thought if you think she's gone.
I think she is.
I see. This is what
I mean, I kind of. Well, you know what? To be completely transparent, I feel like it's a 50-50 with that because I feel like the way that they can spin it is, okay, you never really know how far your love is until it's tested. Like that's a huge test.
Black people soap opera.
So
it is. That's why I don't watch it.
So I mean, it's not just black people in it.
Right.
But anyway.
So, but this is what I think.
Is Ghost the white one? The white dude?
No,
Ghost is Omari Hardwick.
Please, if you haven't watched the show,
please
watch it. Hey, just because you got cut a check or something.
What time and what channel this thing come on? I want to know.
Well, okay. I mean, we'll get to that in a minute. But you should watch it.
It's on Stars on demand. So let me ask you this question right here. Now, this is the question that's coming out of the chat room with us.
Okay.
When women have affairs, it's normally due to emotions.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
Where they're not either receiving.
Wait. Hold on. Let's qualify that. Is that her opinion as a woman? Is that your opinion?
I feel like for one, it kind of depends on the woman, but I also feel like as a woman, when a woman has an affair, majority of the time, this is not all, this is Majority.
Right, so hold on, because I got some questions. Go ahead.
80,
I just wanted to qualify that first.
80-20 rule.
Right. 80 you got, 20 you
80 you got,
20 you
don't.
hoping.
I feel like 80% of women do cheat with emotions. Now, whatever the circumstances are, I don't know what her man isn't doing or whatever the case may be.
But most of it start off with emotions.
Most of it starts off with emotions because she's lacking something at home, or whether that be attention. Oh, he didn't notice my hair. He didn't notice my nails.
Now let me go to the other side.
Just a thought.
Let me go to the other side of the coin.
I just said majority.
Okay, so let me go to the other side of the coin. So we can set this up right here. Okay, so I'm gonna go back and say 90% of the women have affairs because of emotions, and emotions go for a long range. Okay, so we ain't not gonna clarify that because it could be anything. Okay, and then most of the men's, 100% of men's have affairs. Okay, just because they want to do something.
Now, as a man, hold on, I'm gonna qualify that. As a man, I disagree because I feel like a man will go out and cheat because he's lacking something from the woman. He feels the woman is lacking something.
Hold on.
So it's emotion as well because he feels something is lacking with the woman.
I agree with he's saying too.
No,
it's not always. Again, majority because we live in a different time now.
But let me say this here.
I can agree from experience.
A man is only as faithful as his options. Okay.
Well.
Okay, so I'm going to say this, okay? He's only as faithful as his options.
Come on,
Shy. You got to elaborate.
But before we go into that, though, because I want to go right here, because I know our two esteemed
knucklehead.
here.
I'm ready, man. I'm ready. Come
So,
on, man.
so right here, you wrote a book on relationships, correct? Yeah. So why don't you give, first of all, when is the book going to hit? Are we? You know, last time you was here, you was working on it. Are you still working on it?
I'm still working on it. I did get to a stopping point. I got to a stopping point due to some things that happened in my life. Those that know me.
Did it have anything to do with it?
No. Actually, my little sister, she had passed, so I kind of feel like now I have to do everything that I said I was gonna do.
So that gave you the finish
So it
off
kind of gave
pressure.
me a little bit
Motivation.
of pressure, a little bit of motivation.
Right.
It's kind of keeping me going.
I got you.
I'm looking to be done summer of 19.
Okay.
At the latest, maybe early.
That's reasonable.
And I know you're gonna come back when you come. But let me say this right. Why don't you give the audience just I mean,
a little sprinkle.
Pull a line out. Pull a line out.
He said pull a line out.
Put a little thigh out there.
Okay. All right.
A little
sampler.
sampler.
All right.
You know, Sax man, you need some help.
I need a girlfriend. Somebody help me out.
He out of control. All right.
Can you send us some candidates?
Yeah.
This is not the. No.
She gotta be thick and chocolate.
It's a question.
Thick and chocolate. Oh Lord.
Chocolate.
Okay. So here we go.
Mm-hmm.
They say a lot of things about how many people you're allowed to fall in love with in a lifetime. I say, I'm sorry, y'all. I say you experience love 3 times and once if you're lucky. If you experience it once, congratulations, you're not like the rest of us. You met your person, you're not sifting through a cesspool of broken hearts, trust issues, egos, and empty promises. Sometimes because life and history has a way of repeating itself, you get a second or third swing at your person when you're ready. Timing has to be right, location has to be right, and a piece of you has to have a desire for a piece of them and vice versa, meaning you have to accept people for who they are, exactly where they are in life. What would you say if someone asked you exactly what it is that you wanted in a spouse? Would you be able to answer the question in detail, or would you even be able to answer at all? Would it be a question that you can only answer when you've grown? The truth is we don't always grow with our age, and more so with experience. So with that being said, you may or may not be fully aware of what you want, and that's okay. What you should be aware of is when it's in front of you. When it's in front of you, you're able to not only recognize, but you're able to feel it.
So let me ask you this question right here before Tony Stone jump in, because I see he ready to jump in. can you love two people at the same time?
Oh my God, I do it every day.
You just sex, man. See, this is why we call it Stop the Madness, Keep It 100.
Right,
because sex man right there, nothing but madness. First of all, he couldn't handle two at the same time. Let alone. But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I feel like it's a little bit deeper than that. I feel like we evolve. Like, you know, me at I'm about to be 30.
Really?
I feel like me at 22 versus me now, I'm two different people.
Okay.
You know, I'm in two different places in my life. I require two different things that I require in a man or that I'm looking for in a man. So I feel like, yes, it is possible that you can love two different people because you love differently. You love people differently. But I also feel like there's always that one where you just like, I can't shake that. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm
real.
talking about. So say that I was in love with you and I'm in love with somebody else. So is it a different type of love? I mean, if I'm talking about that first kiss type of love where I'm madly in love with you. So if I can have these same feelings, could I have the same feelings for another person? Is that possible?
And isn't that cheating?
I feel like
well, we ain't gonna talk
well,
about
we
cheating
ain't talking
right
about
right,
at the
cheating.
same time, but you know, I feel like, okay, I can speak from experience with me, and I you know, I'm gonna try to answer this question in this way.
Okay.
With me, the person that I feel like I was most ever in love with, and he does play a role in this book. We ain't even about to get into that.
Oh, come on.
But I feel like with him, before I met him, the person that I was with before I met him, I thought I was in love with that person.
Okay.
I thought I was in love with that person. I was like, oh my gosh, like, what is this? You know? And then I met this person, and it was a whole nother thing. It was like an out of body experience.
Okay, but so
thing.
you were you in love with him at the same time? See, this is the question.
I feel like he trumped everybody else.
Okay, so you in love with two men?
No, I'm in love
No,
with women.
no. I'm just saying. I'm trying to set this scenario.
She correct
up
that
for-
quick, didn't she?
See, you a book, you the book writer, so I'm trying to set the scenario. Put me as the example. I'm in love with you, and I want a relationship with you and marry you. Okay, but I'm in love with this woman, and I want a relationship and marry her, and I'm sitting here, and my mind is going like what's my boy Dimples. Dimples say she got papers on me, you know. So I don't know which way to go.
Okay.
You know, they talked about this in my day when I was growing up. You know, they talked about this with the women. You know, they went back and forth.
Sean. What was the song about that?
That's something else I get into in my book.
So that's what I'm asking you. So is it possible for me to be stuck in the middle, loving these two women, not knowing if I can go to the right or I can go to the left, and I really don't want to go to the right or the left because I really don't want to love her.
Let either one of them
go. There you go. There you
I
go.
feel like with that, see, that's deep. That's deeper because I feel like you get to this point in life where you may think you in love with both of them, but you not.
Right. That's how like confusion to me.
Because I feel
like you don't know
like
what you want.
You don't know because it's always. I feel like a lot of people pump fake. You ever meet a person where they will study you and they will find out everything you like, everything that appeals to you,
right?
That look good to you.
That's a good player. That's a good player.
They will put that image on.
That's a good player.
Dress it up, make it look
That's a good
real
player.
good for you.
When I come from Shaw High School, we used to do that.
Yeah,
we used to go up to the heights. That's how I got my wife.
Study you.
That's how I got my wife. See, from Shaw High School, we used to go. See, Cleveland Heights was like the uppity class with all the high yellow girl, had money and all that.
Oh yeah.
Shaw, we was the thuggy thugs.
But that goes back to the whole thing of, you know, as cliche as it sounds, it's a saying as old as time. The grass ain't always greener. It looked like that. It looked good. But timing is everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can only keep that image up for so long until the real you start coming out.
Can I say this real quick? Can I say this?
But a player.
But that woman or that man can fool your ass into thinking, damn, I really love her. She everything I wanted and then something. You know what I'm saying? And then you get with her, and then time progresses, and you be like, damn,
Let
that
me
ain't
say
really
this.
what I wanted.
Now, situation like what we just talking about, another scenario. You got a man that got two women. I'm two women. He like them both. One basically might be giving him a little something different than the other one, but he has the same feelings for the both. One might be strictly sexual. The other one might be financial.
Well, that's not love.
No, but
that ain't love. That's a whole nother.
no, but this guy feels.
Ain't neither one of them love.
This guy feels, and he can't let him go. Like Sean said, I can't let him go.
That's need.
I got feelings for both of them.
That's neediness.
I'm gonna tell you something that I learned, and I learned it real early, and it's so funny. This is why I gotta hurry up with this book, because I talk about
Please
it
do.
in the book about needing and stuff, and how my dad told me. I never forget it, man. I had to be in like 5th grade, and I wasn't thinking about boys or nothing. I was playing with Barbie. And my dad told me, he said, don't you ever feel like you need a man for nothing. And as I got older, I never felt like I needed a man until I met this person who is now my ex, unfortunately.
Oh, sorry.
But it ain't nothing to be sorry about. You want to know why it ain't nothing to be sorry
Wait, hold on
about?
before you go there. Wait a minute, before you go there. Tell us the name of the book and then continue.
The name of the book is called The Freak's Plight. It's a very long title. I'm not going to get into the whole everything, but it's a little bit further deeper than that.
I like that too.
Make sure you get that copyrighted trademark.
So go ahead. Go ahead.
But,
Telling us. Go ahead. I
But,
didn't mean to
you know,
interrupt.
my dad told me that, and like I said, I wasn't thinking about that until, I got older, and I met somebody, and this one particular person I met, I thought it was all of what it was, but I feel like the person that, like I said, is now my ex, and it's nothing to be unfortunate about, because I feel like if it's meant to be, it's going to be, and whatever is mine is always going to be mine. So it's crazy because with that being said, it was like I feel like he kind of like showed me how I'm really supposed to be loved. Like everything else looked like, okay, I really like you, girl. I'm feeling you, blah, 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 blah. Because dudes do it all the time. It's a whole lot of single married dudes that be in my DMs. And I just be like, y'all should be ashamed of yourselves. But we ain't even about to get into that.
Right.
But with him, it was like a lot of things that I didn't think were possible, like marriage. I was never that girl. I was never like, oh, my wedding's going to be like this and blah, 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 until I met him. He actually really cliche.
Is he a good man?
He's a good man.
Okay.
And there's a whole lot of good men out there, and there's a whole lot of good women out there, but every good man and every good woman ain't your good woman or your good man.
No.
So with him, it was like he made me feel like, damn, this is really how love's supposed to be. Like, it ain't supposed to be. I mean, people are people. There's always going to be disappointment. When you loving a person, it's always going to be some sort of disappointment. There's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be error. However, when you meet a person and you're really in love with them, and you're really, really in love with them, like that's why I'm able to actually talk about it, because it's like, damn, I still love you. I don't harvest any ill will towards that man, and I really want what's best for him. Like, even if it ain't with me.
Question. Is it the man's responsibility to make you happy?
No, you should be happy before you get with that man.
Thank you.
That man should just add to it. Everything should always be in addition.
I had this debate with this young lady. I said, a man can't make you happy. He can satisfy you.
And I think that's what my dad meant when he told me you don't need a man.
Right, but it goes
both ways.
See,
it goes both ways, too.
It goes back, every woman should be biblical, and it goes back to the man being the head of the house and taking care of everything and providing for her needs. You're a provider, okay? But
some women don't want that. Some women don't want.
But that's your biblical
Some women
need.
don't want to be dependent on a man.
That's
to be
true.
Now they want a man to be a protector or whatever. But as far as being the provider, they don't. Some women don't want that.
And some women don't want that. But also there is this, and I'm gonna say this: as a woman, you should be being a woman. You should already be handling your business before that man even come into your life. Same with a man. When y'all come together, first of all, if we go back to marriage and what it really means, it's really a business transaction. My family broke. Your family got all this money. I'm going to give you my daughter to offset your family's financial.
There you go.
Or your family really powerful, my family powerful. Let's come
together and let's have an alliance or an empire or whatever. That's really what marriage was. Now, when we bring it back to what is now,
yeah, exactly.
It's like, okay, you know, I had a friend tell me the other day. He was like, well, I don't know if I'm going to marry my girl because I feel like we don't need no titles. You know what I'm saying? We doing what we doing. But at the same time, she wants that. You also have to consider the other person's feelings.
Can I say this real quick?
Yes.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you know the marriage license is just a contract?
Yeah, it's a business.
It's just a business
It's
contract.
a business contract.
But the woman, the reason why she wants that ring and that contract is to show all the failed females that he was dating. I succeeded. I got the ring. I got the man. The bitches you didn't get it. I got him.
I feel like they're. You know what? I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this because we are keeping it real. This is real talk.
Keep it real.
There are some women like that, and the woman that my ex is with now is like that.
I know
she actually called me.
I know some.
She called me and was like, I said, who is this? She said, this is so-and-so's fiance. And I'm like, shouldn't you be on the phone? Like, shouldn't you be enjoying your engagement?
Right.
But instead, you're calling me. You're calling me because you feel as though I pose a threat. And that goes back to, you know, knowing your person, knowing when a person is yours. When it's real, you know it's real. You know, you can't nobody change that. Can't nobody take that away from you. And that's just how it is. However, like I said, there are some people that are doing this for the show. They're doing it to, you know.
I want to conquer.
Yeah. I want this ring. My brother told me he was talking to a chick, and he said she said something about when she want to get I don't know how they got on the subject of marriage or whatever, but they got to talking about it, and she was like, well, I want this ring and it costs this amount of money and blah 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 blah. And he was like, well, why would we spend this kind of money on this ring when we can have some life experiences, we could do this, we could buy a house, she's like, well, we could just put it on the credit card. And it's just like, that type of chick, like, your mindset is just so far gone, but it also goes to show you, you know what I'm saying, you are the type of person that you attract. Not saying that my brother is materialistic by any means.
But it is true.
But it is true.
It's very true.
And the type of person that you attract or that stays around, you are most like the people that are around you. The 5 most people you're around the most, you are most like them. They are all a reflection of. So if that person is this materialistic type of chick, and she like, oh, well, I gotta idolize this, and I gotta have that, and I gotta have a brand new car, and I gotta have a brand new bag, you gotta think about it. Would she really rock with you if you was really fucked up? Would she?
That's true.
But you put it out there like that. Same goes for these chicks that be taking pictures of their ass on Instagram and doing all of that. But you getting mad at this dude because all he want to do is fuck. But it's like, look at what you selling. Look at what you putting out there.
So this brings me to my next question. Is it true that you are what you listen to, you watch, and you involve your life into?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
You are that.
I'm not saying you are one
because
I'm
you
not
watch drama
saying
on TV all
I'm
day?
not saying you're 100% that. Not 100%.
All right.
But I feel like you have to think about it.
That's a reflection of
it's a reflection of you. It's a reflection of what you like.
So you should, as a man, before you get serious with the chick, watch what she watch on TV, pay attention. That way you know she's drama or whatever.
Women should do it too. It's so funny. I was telling somebody, I said, if any dude that try to talk to me on social media, I'm going to go and look at his page. And if he got pictures where he just got money spread out, I'm going to be like, no. And the reason why I'm going to say no is because anybody that ain't never had shit got to show it off. What's understood don't have to be explained. You know what I'm saying? We just had this conversation. The Queen of England, them girls that be like, well, I'm a queen and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is you don't see the Queen of England walking around saying, I'm the Queen of England.
You ain't got to say what's already known.
What's already understood ain't got to be explained. It goes without saying. So it's like if you're walking around here and you're like, oh, well, you know what? I'm a queen and I'm a boss and I'm a this and I'm an independent woman and I'm a this. It sounds like a cry for help for me, or it sounds like you need attention.
You're trying to prove something.
You're trying to prove something. Because I don't walk around, you know what I'm saying? Most people, even it comes down to like your profession. People that know me, they know I do hair. They know I'm in like either the makeup industry or I'm in the hair industry. I don't even go around broadcasting that, even though I should.
Both look good. Your hair and your makeup is, is on point.
But it goes without saying, and I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when it comes to matters of the heart and stuff like that, it's just a matter of time, man. You really gotta pay attention. You gotta be good at reading people because people will put on fronts. They will act like they something that they not, and
They're
it also.
catfishing.
Man, they're catfish. Not even catfishing your physical, catfishing your mental. That's worse than catfishing your damn physical.
Wow.
Cause you sitting up here pretending like you this sapiosexual and you this intellectual type of person. But then when the internet is down, or when Instagram is down, or Twitter is down, you a fucking, you know what I'm saying? You not none of that. So it's like, who are you really fooling?
You living in the storage
you living
bin.
in, you know what I'm saying? People say what they want to say. They'll be like, oh, well, she's lame and she don't have this many followers. Like, it's so crazy how, like, social media has changed the dynamics of dating, too, now. Like, I had a dude, instead of asking me for my number, he asked me, what was my Snapchat name?
Whoa.
And I said, how the fuck old are you?
But yeah, that's how they operate.
Like,
you know? Like that's how they operate these days.
Like, no, I don't have a Snapchat. I'm sorry. I'm too busy living real life.
Well, how often do you date?
I mean, honestly, I don't even be.
Come on, 100.
I ain't even about to get into that. But like
well, since you don't want to ask that question, let me ask you this: the chat room want to know. Give us a synopsis of what your book is about and what you're writing.
My book is about, I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it like this. My book is really about my life experiences. It's a lot about, like, I feel like I got divorced without a ring. I feel like I was doing a whole lot of wife-like shit without being a wife. I was a girlfriend.
So what are we, the readers, going to get out of it? I mean, besides getting a more intimate knowledge of you, not
I mean,
intimate
not
knowledge,
just me, but I mean, it's just, I think that to sum it up would be.
Are they in the pictures?
I
in
there?
It's not gonna be no
picture. I can hold it up.
It's not gonna be no back pages.
I'm gonna say this. I'm not saying nobody's names in the book.
Good,
Nobody,
okay,
you know what I'm
okay,
saying? I don't even get into that. I'm not getting into nobody's name. People that are close to me, they kind of know who's the who and who's the what and all of that kind of stuff. But if you rock with me, I promise it's gonna be something really, really good. Like, I got a few people that then read a little bit more than what I just gave y'all, and they all like went like, well, so what's up? When?
Well, going off of what you just gave us, I had this question from the moment, from the time that you read the passage. This was the only thing that I was thinking. The one thing that stuck out to me in there was
no names.
No, I ain't gonna say no names. You know, I don't do that. The one thing that stuck out to me was when you said, "Do you know what you want from a spouse?" And I wanted to pose that question to everybody in the room. Maybe not you, Sean, since you already.
You got your person.
Since you already have
You're
your
not
spouse,
in the
and we don't want to get you in no trouble. We don't want you to say nothing.
Well,
we don't want you to say nothing that might get you.
First of all, I'm a player from the Malaya, so I can't get in no trouble.
The Himalayas?
Oh my God!
I'll go first. I'll tell y'all what I want in a spouse.
She's listening too, Sean.
I want a 1-year trial period. That's what I want from a spouse. I have in that 1-year trial period, I reserve the right to cancel at any time before that year is over. And if we make it through that year, we can either make it a lifelong official thing, or we can cut it right now. I want a 1-year trial period.
You want to kick the tires, look up under the hood, start it up.
Well, actually,
I want a 1-year trial period.
Okay,
that's what I want.
Well, that's good, Tony Stone.
Wow.
Now, what do y'all want?
Well, let me go right here. Go ahead, Saxman. You got 30 seconds.
Honestly, I just want to stay single. I'm happy.
Okay.
I'm happy.
Miss Summers?
I just want what's real, honestly, and I want to continue to be happy, and I don't want somebody that's gonna rain on my parade.
That's right.
Well, let me say this right here. First of all, nobody can rain on your parade
unless you allow them.
Not only unless you allow them. A relationship is just this. I think everybody forgets about marriage. You got to have a relationship and be in love with that person before you take that bond of marriage. And marriage is a biblical bond that you and that person take, because God put the women here to help man. Okay, and so when you look at this, when you get married, you have already went to that level where you're supposed to be at. Now, me being married for 21 years with some wonderful daughters and kids, I don't worry about anything because I didn't get married to a woman. And I didn't get married to a girlfriend. I got married to my best friend
Yep.
and part
Yep.
of me.
Yep.
Right.
So
Yep.
everything that I wanted was already there.
Right.
And we're going to have bad times. We're going to have good times.
Yep.
But we're going to walk that road together.
Right.
And that's what marriage is. And
Mhm.
I don't believe in divorce.
Nope.
Okay, if you're going to get a divorce, I'm not going to say you can't. But first, you need to work it out and go back to what made you love that person and want to get
In the
married in the
first
first
place.
place.
Right.
And I'm going to look into your book and see if you can find that. But right there on that note, I
I'm-
want to say everybody
I'm
right
going
here.
to buy my woman at Victoria's
Well,
Secret.
well, good. So,
You going to buy her or you going to find her?
I'm going to buy her.
so
at
on that note,
Victoria's
Sax man, hold your jabbers. Tony, don't get that bottle of champagne over there, please.
Oh, my
We're
God.
going to crack the champagne. This is season 3. We have signed all the contracts. We're going back on streaming TV.
Sax going to get a
Okay.
raise.
We got 34 people there. Hey, I want to thank all our listeners and everybody that came with us, you know, who made this possible, who stayed with us, who been on every Thursday with us, up in the cloud with us,
Right.
in the city, Savannah, L.A., Michael Wilkerson, Houston, John Shock,
Russell,
going all the way back to New York
Russell-
with Jennifer and all the rest of them.
Russell Wilkins and his students, right?
Hey, so we appreciate it because, you know, a lot of people told us this wasn't going to happen, Tony Stone, and we had a lot of people help us, like our boy, the comedian, Doug Million.
Doug Million. What's happening, bud?
Okay. Courtney, our IT guy, James, Mary, Jay Mack from the shop,
Yeah.
Tony Stone.
Miss you, Jay.
All the people that came on with us for the last 2 seasons. We in show 501, and it's going to be nothing but good times.
Got to find Gigi.
Okay,
I like
and
the number.
everybody, I'm going to post that toast to us on the air to everybody. Thank you all for being with us. And with that note right there,
Fan base is big, I can't lose. Sugar bow down, I'm the next to rule, but I'ma stay on the cool, remain on the under, cause like Andre 3000, your boy's ice cold. Ain't no limit to the gimmicks and ways to make money. No limit to the just to act funny when you get that cake, cause you spit that way. They may love you tomorrow when they hate you today, but yo, that's the way the story goes, so I was told. Following the rainbow down the yellow brick road, but please believe at the end ain't no pie to go. Just some platinum beats from the Cleveland streets.
right here on Stop the Madness, Keep It 100, Season 3 has started. We got a lot of good things coming in. Tone the Stone, the Diamond Boy in Studio 51.
I couldn't have did it without y'all. I just want to let you know that, Sax.
Yeah, I
couldn't have
appreciate
did it without you. Hey, I want to thank Sade, Miss Sade, for coming out once again. It's always a pleasure and a blessing to have you. Next time, because I know you'll be back. Next time we'll get into even deeper into this stuff because I got some things to say, but I wanted to let Sax seem like he needed to rant, so I wanted to let him get some things off his chest.
Hey.
Sax, I want to let you know, man, if you need counseling, that's what I'm here for,
Thank
man.
you.
Hey, we got our man on the
Wise
beat.
old sage.
We got our man on the beat. Sax Man put out his first show, the Sax Man Show. Check it out on demand on SoundCloud, YouTube. Sax Man.
It's going to be coming on every week, y'all. I'm finally in the big tabs. Thank you, Sean. Sean put me on, got me what I need. Tony Stone support. Doug Million was there in the beginning with me, got me going. I appreciate everybody. John Shock, everyone who supported Sax Man and got Sax Man Show started. I want to thank you very much. I'm not going to forget you, and I'll be putting out some great shows coming up.
Hey, and we got our special guest in Studio 51 in the Blue Room, Sade Summers. Sade Summers is with us. I get it right one day.
One day you gonna get it right.
One day I get it right. I'm just going to call her SS. Mrs. SS Minnow. Right here, thank you for being with us. And darling, we're going to have you back on the air. And what you want to say before
Bring
we
some
get off
friends
the air?
with you next time.
I just want to say thank you. Like, look forward to continuing this and this book and all this good stuff. And I just want to keep up these good vibes because, like I said, it's been a rough couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody, you know what? Right there, I want to say this. You know, we expect everybody to come in. We appreciate all the love. We're going to got a lot of people coming in. We're going to be talking about a lot of issues in Cleveland, the state of Ohio, around the world, Washington, D.C. Get out and vote and make that change. And everybody, as your host, peace. And I say love to everybody.
Sax, you need to get you a good
See
church
y'all
man,
next
man.
week.
You've been listening to Stop the Madness, Keep It 100 on STMK Radio 100.